Welcome back to Tip of the Spear, where we talk about all things Wetumpka athletics. I'm your host, Chandler Ward, and with me today is my co-host, Deacon Meeks. Kicking the week off strong, let's take a look at your First Community Bank's Player of the Week, and that's going to be varsity baseball player Bobo Browning. Browning, playing the center field, is currently the reason for Wetumpka's most recent wins, sitting at a .8 batting average, 5 RBIs, 3 extra base hits, a home run, 5 runs in total, 4 walks, and 4 for 5 from the plate. Browning sure has a lot going for him this season, and I'm really excited to see what he has left in store.
Indeed, Chandler. He has been putting on a great performance for his senior year. And along with that, I'd like to mention that the cheer team recently had tryouts and a pretty good showing, to be in fact. So with that, your 2026 through 2027 varsity cheer team will consist of Avery Worley, Leanna Burgoyne, Catherine Garner, Avery Castro, Madison McDade, Addie Esco, Leanna Henderson, Chloe Strength, Lily Hunter, Hartley Johnson, Anna Rupert, Genesis Grays, Ashton Thomas, and Kellen Hill. Your captains are Taylor Gassman as captain, Haley Duffy, Ava Bozeman, and Tanner Adams as co-captains.
Yeah, Deacon, and huge congratulations to them. I mean, a lot of them are becoming seniors. You know, Ava Bozeman, actually a friend of ours, is a senior, and it's kind of crazy to think, you know, after all these years, a bunch of people that we know so well are graduating, and it's sad to see, but it's also very joyful. Now, another thing that I'd like to take a look at is going to be varsity soccer, and actually a little bit of JV, which is something we don't see much of here on Tip of the Spear. Now, to start off, I'd like to take a look at the girls, who are currently going to be 7-1-2. So now they have 2 ties, and that came out of nowhere after going from a 7-0 team from last week. 7-1-2 is a bit more negative than we were wanting, but that's all right. You know, they're still a great team, and they had to face off against Marbury, who we stated last week is a pretty good team. Now the girls, I like to say, they may need to work on their chemistry just a tad bit. You know, when you look at the girls, they just need to implement a bit of communication, because when you don't communicate, they don't shift up, they don't step up, and that could lead to them splitting apart and allowing the opposing team to kind of stepping into unwanted boundaries, and that could lead to unwanted goals or a loss.
Yeah, I completely agree. And those 2 ties could have definitely been changed over some communication. Some errors must have been made by the girls' soccer team. But we've seen some very good performances as well through Ella Duffy. Previously, a couple weeks ago, scored 100 goals, 100 career goals. So congrats to her. But although they only have 1 loss and 2 ties, they could definitely make a better season out of that. Through just getting Ella Duffy the ball more, communicating more, and playing as a team and passing the ball around better.
For sure, Deacon. And transitioning over to the boys' side, something that the boys could definitely work on is going to be winning the ball in the air. Now, CDM Alex Smeelan is one that I don't want to pick on for that, but he definitely brought the team down just a tad bit last week with he wasn't paying too much attention on taking a step back or maybe winning the ball off of the first bounce. You know, sometimes you want to wait for the second or third, but when you just wait for one, it gives your team a big chance for Alex just to distribute the ball back out to the wings, and furthermore, get the ball back down the field and hopefully score.
Yeah, and it's not just Alex, you know. We see that all around the defensive side for Wetumpka, even through the key player of that game, the man of the game, Nick Thomas, had a great game. Still choppy mistakes here and there that could result in a more dominant victory, more dominant plays. But overall, our striking has been good. The boys striking for the Wetumpka soccer team has been great. And I believe if they implement that, if they implement more defense and better implementation of waiting for the bounces and stuff like that, it would definitely help on not allowing the other team to score.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said earlier, we're going to talk about JV. Now, obviously, we don't talk about that pretty often here, but the JV boys soccer team recently won the Sylacauga tournament, and that is a humongous step up. You know, the JV team definitely is making a name for themselves as their only junior varsity. So humongous congratulations to them, and I'm super excited for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. Andon Owens had 2 nice goals, so congrats to him. Saw his post on Instagram, so yeah, big props to him, the JV soccer team, and the future of Wetumpka.
Yeah, and definitely, Deacon, you know, those dominant performances from the soccer players are definitely, they need to continue, and I'm super excited for them after that JV tournament win. Now, dominant performances is something that the girls tennis team is showing us with Grace Hines kind of leading the team. The girls tennis team is currently 12-1, the boys 6-5. So the boys stepped up from their neutral sitting from last week and put a point up there. So 6-5 is pretty good, but as I mentioned, 12-1 is better for the girls. And Grace Hines, as I said, definitely leads the team. Not only is she leading the team and just winning and being a great player, but she serves as a great role model, you know. The younger players definitely see her as somebody to look up to, and she gives them just a way to continue getting better.
Yeah, I completely agree. And on the boys' side of things, I'd like to point out the new faces that have been added. Of course, it's going to be difficult to improve their record, but they have been making the most of it as much as they can, you know, with new faces in John Neighbors and Mark Kaysen. They've been doing good, considering, you know. They also have foreign exchange student Henrik. He's been the #1 seed for that team, and he's been doing well as well. So the boys tennis team definitely has a lot to look forward to, but some adjustments could be made, whether it's just being on the sideline and encouraging teammates, as well as improving on their serves and just staying locked in the game, not goofing around too much. That's definitely something that the boys team could work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, away from tennis, let's take a look at baseball and softball. Kind of the face of Wetumpka right now, with the softball team just putting on a show for us. You know, currently 12-1, I believe, as well. They are just definitely making a name for themselves, considering that they're led by their best batter, Sophie Arendt, who is only a freshman, definitely made a name for herself and leads the team at bat, and that's something to be very proud of.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you have a person like Lexi Smith right up on deck, ready to hit first at bat, you know you're going to get a dominant performance out of her. And I'd also like to point out Taylor Carlisle, who pitched a no-hit game against Percy Julian, which is very impressive. She's also an 8th grader, so that's amazing for her, and just props to her for having a great season.
Yeah, and considering that they just shut out Percy Julian last night, only played 3 innings, that is extremely impressive, like you were saying, from an 8th grader, and the team in general. Definitely a dominant performance, and the softball team has been known for that for the past couple of years. Now transitioning over to the men's side, or baseball, honestly, they're a pretty good team overall. Slight adjustments, like in the past game when they lost against Prattville Christian Academy, their most recent loss. A 3-2 loss it's harsh, you know. Only losing by 1 point kind of hurts, and one thing which I think probably is the leading factor to that loss is when you get down by that 1 point, you kind of let it slip away. You get in your head and you tell yourself that maybe it's not possible, but you have to keep pushing. You have to be strong and just motivate yourself to continue going. But otherwise, a 7-2 record, that's outstanding. Bobo Browning, as we previously stated, is First Community Bank's Player of the Week, and he's just leading the team and setting a strong example for all the players.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so many seniors on this team, including Bobo, such as Owen Piles, Kyle Richardson, and Logan Fawcett. They've been so well-rounded to create this team, this atmosphere for younger players such as sophomore Dylan Jordan, and many more JV players such as Carson Ford that have just been they're learning off of them and getting more experience and more development from the seniors. Indeed,
Deacon. They definitely have some inspiration from all of them, and that's something you want to see. All of the teams at Wetumpka are typically senior-based, and when you're a senior, you have to be an inspiration, but you also have to look forward to things like college. And speaking of college, I'd like to introduce a brand new segment here on Tip of the Spear, which is only here for the month, and that's going to be our March Madness segment. You thought we were done with basketball, but we're not. So, Deacon, take it away for us.
Well, for the SEC part, we got a game right now. LSU versus Kentucky, the number 16 seed in the SEC, the number 9 seed. It's a great game right now. I know it's very close as we're filming this. It was just 43-46, Kentucky on top. But moving on from that, I'd like to point out that Mississippi State versus Auburn, a major fan favorite by this guy, is going to be occurring later on today at 2 o'clock. And along with Ole Miss versus Texas, number 14 South Carolina versus number 10 Oklahoma, and many others to come down the road, especially with the semifinals and quarterfinals. And one team I like to point out in the quarterfinals is my Florida Gators at number 1, waiting for their first match still, as the other teams play on, but it's looking like a tough bracket. So I want to hear from you who you got winning this SEC tournament.
Well, Deacon, I think the Florida Gators probably have a good chance. Now, I want to take a step back over to Auburn. You know, as you said, they are currently the 12 seed, and they're going to play Mississippi State, the 13 seed. So I know you have a thing for both of those teams, and one thing I'd like to point out is previously Auburn was a Final Four contender, losing to the Gators in the Final Four. It's sad to say, but congratulations for y'all's national championship last year. Auburn has been in the tournament for the past 4 years. This year, they don't really have a chance at making it at all. And, you know, that's shocking coming out of a team when you had players like Denver Jones, Janai Broome, so many great players, and they're all gone, you know. So that's something that you have to definitely work around. And so if they can't beat Mississippi State and other teams, this may go bad for them.
Yeah, I agree. And going on to upsets, I'd like to point out the actual March Madness bracket. So Troy has officially made the bracket, along with many other, smaller conferences that we don't really see big names come out of. So I'd like to ask you exactly what your upset, your main team for this bracket is going to be.
I think the main team, the Cinderella team for this year, it's going to be the Long Island Sharks. You know, it's all over TikTok, Instagram, and that's definitely the team that people are ready to see, you know.
Yeah, I agree. They're very solid pick, but High Point is my pick. They're going to be playing against a 5 seed, whoever, but I got High Point winning it all.
Absolutely. Well, I think that is a great way to end this episode of Tip of the Spear. Thank you all for watching. If you want to go see us on Instagram, go check out we2_spear25, and if not, you're already watching us on YouTube. So once again, thank you all for watching, and as always, win the moment, Wetumpka.